is some news. I'm on some news today. Here is some news. Here is some news today. Some news today. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. As you can see, as I marginalise myself more and more from mainstream society, I take to wearing peculiar garments. Today, it's Hessian cloth. Let's have a look at the Trews, or that's the true news. We analyse the news. What does it all mean? What is this doing? Oh, it's keeping together a frequency of consciousness that makes us all feel alienated from one another, spellbound, afraid, beholden by our basic primal desires. How do they do that? Because Cheryl Cole is back on X Factor. Cheryl, I'm back for 1.5 million. This isn't even pretending to be reality. It knows it's a television programme. They're reporting it, though, like it's a thing that's real. That's not real either. That's a game, isn't it? The game of a horse running quickly. This horse is running quickly. Which one will win more quickly? This one. I'll give you £10. Will you give me 50? If that one does run more quickly, I will. But what if it doesn't? I'll keep your £10 and it almost certainly won't run as quickly. Blast! There you go. The whole front page of this thing is about illusions, chance, gambling, meaninglessness. Extraordinary. Page 3, they continue to cling on to the breasts of page 3 as if they were holding those breasts that dangled over a precipice over the white cliffs of Dover in wartime Britain. We're clinging on to these tits. How are we going to hold on to them? Get a woman to write Ant and Dec with her own... Now, it's interesting that she's got the pencil in her own hand. I think that's to indicate that Ant and Dec, who are two British TV hosts, quite likeable men, didn't do that themselves, because otherwise it's just too sexist. Migrants hit poor. What? Theresa May insisted the poorest Brits are the biggest victims of rising immigration last night. Stop making everyone scared of immigrants. Stop making everyone scared of immigrants. Right, when trying to identify the people that are causing problems, look and see, have they got any power? If the person's got no power, they're not part of the problem, because power is required to exert change, exert force, to have influence. If there is no power, they're not the problem. Right, so it's not poor people, it's not migrants, it's not this lady writing Ant and Dec on her own boobs, very legibly. Oh, here's a photograph of a soulless robot. Yeah, but actually, I mean David Cameron is the soulless robot. Yeah, right, get it? Because he's meeting her. Don't worry about it. Drunk Evans tried to kiss man 21 in Strangers Bar at the House of Commons. Firstly, don't have a Strangers Bar at the House of Commons. Get on with your job. Running the country, you mad lunatics. Oscar, sick in bucket. What could this mean? Oscar Pistorius was sick in a bucket yesterday. I mean, is that a good thing? Does that mean he's more guilty, less guilty? Some professor, Brian Cox. Why have the Sun got a professor now? We need some professors. Why? Well, to justify having tits all over the place. The Mail is, it's that mood, actually. That is the main news. For God's sake! There's a free school meal fiasco. Breast cancer sufferers are being let down by uncaring NHS. Oh, don't say the NHS is uncaring. We don't care. Yeah, we're the NHS. We don't care about you. The NHS is just underfunded. Don't try and destroy the NHS, don't try and destroy the BBC, destroy anything that's not got a capitalist imperative. Last week, do you remember the Mail? Sugar kills. You can't be careful. Just keep away from the sugar. We'll be fine if we get rid of that. This bloody sugar's going to wipe us all out. Right, what's it this week? Salt! There's too much salt! Don't have salt either! Sweetness, that's bad. Saltiness, that's bad. Zesty, don't do zesty. Zesty will make your dick drop off. If this happened at a modern art exhibition, you'd go, this is a bit out there. Prince Andrew dates Clooney's Croatian Model X. That's not all they may have in common. By George, you look familiar. Are they the same person? They've both got faces. They both open their faces up. They both wear a tie sometimes. There they are in a tie. They both go like that, bringing the lower lip down sometimes. Sometimes they take their tops off or play golf. One time, Clooney put on a space hat, whereas Prince Andrew, not being a space hat guy, wore that thing that covered his eyes. Surprise, surprise. Kim has voted him with 100% support. Kim Jong-un has been elected to North Korea's parliament with 100% of the vote from 100% turnout votes. What it's saying there is the democratic process is pointless and superfluous because it always leads to the same result, to the same person, in this case, running things. Yeah, it should be him or another person who looks a bit different from him. What about a bit of a different bloke doing the same thing, like our country? We can have a black person, a white person, even a lady doing exactly the same thing. You, Kim Jong-un and Korea, you're a bunch of savages. Here is some extra information that may be of useful for you. How to know God, the yoga aphorisms of Patanjali. I wish it was the yoga euphemisms of Patanjali. Ooh, someone's got the paintings in. Ooh, I think you had a little too much slice of pie, did you? Ooh. Oh, don't mind if I do. Oh, that's a nice sausage. The euphemisms of Patanjali. Patanjali, you're wasting our time. Oh, there, you're a big boy for a little boy, aren't you? Sorry. The impression which is made upon the mind by the samadhi wipes out all other past impressions. Something can happen to the mind that wipes out all the information that's in the mind. Now he goes on to tell us how to take the ultimate step into complete union with Brahman. That means some sort of God consciousness. When the impression made by that samadhi is also wiped out, so there's no more thought waves at all in the mind, then one enters the samadhi, which is called seedless. Oh, so there's a point in consciousness where you're not influenced by all these mad images and these crazy bits of information which stimulate either desire or fear. Remember the page 3, the Ant and Dec, or this crazy stuff here, or the nonsense and ephemera of Cheryl Cole's new job. There's a point that can be reached where you're no longer influenced by that stuff and you can wear a blanket. It has already been explained that samadhi is achieved by raising one object, one great wave of concentration in the mind, by which all other thought waves, all samskaras or past impressions, like neurological pathways in the mind, I suppose they must get well furrowed. If there's a lot of repeated neurological activity in one area, perhaps that could be a habit, addiction or behaviour. These things get swallowed up if you allow in a great wave of consciousness, or if you can achieve this great wave of consciousness. But now, even this one wave has to be stilled. Got to keep it still. Don't have a bloody great wave of God rattling about in the brain, said you that. When it's subsided, we enter that highest samadhi of all, which is called nirvikalpa. Nirvikalpa in the Vedanta system of philosophy. Nirvikalpa samadhi is said to be seedless because it is nothing but pure, undifferentiated consciousness. It contains no phenomenal impressions whatsoever, no seeds of desire and attachment. Brahman is not an object of concentration. In Brahman is neither knower or known. Brahman, as we've seen, is pure, undifferentiated consciousness, and so Nirvikalpa Samadhi is a state where you are no longer yourself. You are literally one with Brahman. You enter into the real nature of the apparent universe and all its forms, and create all its forms and creatures. Oh, so all material phenomena, whether it's solid objects like this chair or this lovely pretentious blanket, or indeed me or my own thoughts, are manifestations of a sublime, divine, unifying energy. Everything else is a permutation. If you don't like radio, you can listen to like pop music or country music or classical music or some sort of mad, racist, bigoted chat. But whatever one you choose to listen to, that's the one that you'll hear. But all the other ones, they're all going on at the same time, aren't they? So you can tune your consciousness to whatever frequency you want. If you tune your consciousness to all this kind of stuff, like as we all do, because it's irresistible, isn't it? It's not like I'm saying I'm better than this. I find it interesting, this stuff. But if you tune your mind into that stuff, that will control your consciousness. But I suppose what's interesting is we don't have to do that. It is a choice. It's very, very easy. The only thing that holds together the culture is our belief that this is how things have to be, and our belief that there is no alternative. That is some truths. Dum 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 dum. That is some truths. The euphemisms of Patanjali. Oh, hello there. You don't get many of them to the pound, do you? Hey! Subscribe to my YouTube channel, please, because it makes life easier for us. Please subscribe to it. Is it hard to subscribe to it? It's easy! What do you do? Click on a thing. Click on a thing, you idiot. What are you doing now? Is it harder than clicking on a thing? No, it's easier. I'm just passively watching. Well, just add that to it. Subscribe to it, and we can build consensus. Don't worry about that siren. That's not related to my recent activities. Must go now. Please subscribe. Hello!